Yep. Yeah, that's right.
I think we'd had a lot more damage if it was that strong.
A lot of folks come down about 66 and we're together and take the 66. Oh, yeah. We get a lot of people, a lot of more. Oh, yeah. The Lord Mayor of Canterbury. Yeah. Oh, do you? We stopped and saw Jim Smith. Yeah. Yep, we did. Program. He gets it. We get together and eat. He said, well, I'll bring some. It's going to come. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he does. Well, it's going to be great.
Oh, that's the guy we
Yep. Leslie. Jack Murphy.
Hello, Jack Murphy. How you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
It's always a pleasure.
Well,
Get down and see you.
Well,
You're right there.
well, I don't know how much longer.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little concerned up here, so you're still going.
If they want me next year, well, I'm going to give it a try.
Yeah, try it.
Yeah, football's the hardest.
Yeah,
You know, getting
up and down.
I'm trying to do about buying my equipment's all headed.
Yeah.
It's well, really commercial stuff.
Yeah.
And I just can't handle it. So I got a granddaughter down in Texas. She's interested in soccer for good. So I go ahead and buy it if she wants to. It won't be a fully lost cause.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. I really enjoy it.
I know. You've been good at it.
No, basketball is not too hard.
Yeah.
Boy, that football is.
Yeah.
That one tripod I use weighs 75 pounds. Cameras, say the camera weighs about 35. But like I say, I'll talk to them. If they want me, fine. If they don't,
Fine too.
I can move on. See you, Jack.
different houses. Everybody brings something. And then we had we had like there's only 44 kids in the class. 34 showed up. I couldn't believe that. Out of 44 kids. Homemade jelly. I didn't think I'd like it. She done about a year without me. One day she made me go, and I kind of enjoyed it. You
So
Hi, Slick.
hello there. You just find your table number and sit down.
It's pretty cozy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Slick, look how nice this looks. Look at how they get this.
Oh yeah.
We're like at the Hilton. Looks nice. It's big. Yeah, you guys did a good job. Beautiful.
Widen down a little bit.
I haven't seen you since.
Brent's going to be he's done that at 2 different universities where he's went to, has redid their cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're going to beast by 1 and maybe 2 for the program, so that the 2 basketball programs. But they're also worried about being on, when they're both at Charleston, things like that. It's just, you can't take one camera and put it in 2 different places. So. We hadn't looked like that in quite some time.
No. We can all relate to that. Going back. Well, how's this young lady? Growing like it?
They do now, don't they?
Yeah, they
This
do.
stuff might be careful.
You can press that red button and you can see exactly what the picture is like. Down there, that little red button. It's a lot better to use. I know how to fix it.
Audience here. I don't know if all the hospital help is gone, but if they're not, let's give them another hand for the fine meal they're serving. Well, once again, it's my pleasure to be your master of ceremonies for tonight for our 13th annual Hall of Fame banquet. Like I said, it gets bigger and better every year. And talking with David, he said a week or so ago we only had like 75 reservations, and he was sweating it, and we end up with 142, 144, something like that. So very nice turnout, and we're certainly glad to have all of you here. And we'll get things going with our first inductees for the year 2008, and that's going to be the 1984 Tornado baseball team. The start of the 1984 Taylorville High School baseball season gave no indication of how good this team was going to be. Head coach Jim Banco knew he had 2 good pitchers, and senior left-hander Don Pembroke and junior right-hander Brad Davis, and a lineup of good but young players in the field. The usual starting lineup included juniors Joe Champley at first and Tony Bertowski at second, sophomore Dennis Fesser at short, seniors Jeff Smith at third, and senior Trevor Stallis behind the plate. In the outfield were juniors Pat Lane, Kenny Altoff, and senior Rich Calvert. The DH was Bobby Halfliger. They opened the season with a 4-3 loss to Riverton, followed by 2 wins over Newton, with Pembroke and Davis each picking up a victory. Losses to Hillsborough and Charleston and Mount Zion gave the Tornadoes a very mediocre 3-4 record, entering the second game of doubleheader with Mount Zion. Brad Davis pitched a 3-hitter and shut out the Braves 7-0 to start a winning streak that would carry Taylorville to the state semifinals. Following the Mount Zion doubleheader, the Tornadoes swept Robinson and Paris and gained a split with Effingham. During those games, Pembroke averaged giving up just 2 hits while striking out 11, and Brad was nearly as sharp, averaging 3.5 hits a game and striking out 5. The Tornadoes entered the regional with a 9-6 record, but they were on a hot streak, winning 6 of their last 7 games. The Bats came alive against their first regional foe, who was Decatur MacArthur. Led by Tony Bertowski's home run and triples by Halflegger, Smith, and Champley, Taylorville beat the Generals 7-0. Pembroke pitched a 1-hitter and shutting out MacArthur. Next came 18-6 Decatur Eisenhower, the number 1 seed in the regional. Pembroke shut out Eisenhower on 3 hits and struck out 14 as the Tornadoes squeaked by the Panthers by a score of 1-0. The regional final placed the Tornadoes against 15-12 Lincoln. The Railers took an early 2-0 lead. In the 4th inning, Pat Lane broke loose with a home run and added a 3-run blast in the 6th, providing enough power to give the Tornadoes a 7-4 win and the regional championship. In the first game of the sectional, Taylorville was bracketed to play Charleston, a team they had split with during the regular season. The Tornadoes were the home team, and after entering the 7th inning tied, Pat Lane opened the inning with a walk. Bertowski and Champley each struck out, but Altoff kept the inning alive with a soft single into right field, advancing Lane to third. Calvert was then intentionally walked to load the bases. Jeff Smith then topped the grounder towards second. First baseman fielded the ball and threw wildly to first, allowing Lane to score the winning run, and the Tornadoes won that game by a score of 3-2. In the sectional final, Pembroke left nothing to chance as he only gave Danville 1 hit and struck out 8 as the Tornadoes became sectional champions with a 2-0 victory. The state finals were played at Lamphere Park in Springfield, and Taylorville was scheduled to play the 23-12 Chicago Shirts High School in the quarterfinal game. Shirts jumped out into a lead, and the score stood at 5-4 entering the 7th inning. Once again, the Taylorville Bats rose to the occasion, with Rich Calvert opening the inning with a bunt single. Jeff Smith successfully sacrificed him to second. Don Pembroke struck out, and they were down to their last out. Robert Halflegger then beat out an infield hit, and Calvert advanced to third. Sophomore Dennis Fesser drew a walk, loading the bases. Pat Lane came to the plate and was hit by a pitch, allowing the tying run to then score. Tony Bertowski broke the thing wide open with a single on an 0-2 count to score both Halflegger and Fesser. A wild throw to third allowed Lane to score the 4th run of the inning and gave the Tornadoes an 8-5 lead. Pembroke shut out the Chicago team in the bottom of the 7th, and Taylorville moved into the semifinals for the second time in school history to face powerhouse Morton. In that semifinal game, however, the Tornadoes kind of ran out of gas. The Tornado defense fell apart, and 5 first-inning errors gave Morton a 5-0 lead. The Potters continued the onslaught, and after the dust settled, Taylorville was on the short end of a 20-8 score. Morton went on to win the state championship that year, beating Chicago Rebus 9-7. Don Pembroke ended the season with an 11-3 record and was selected to the All-State Tournament team, and the Tornadoes became only the 2nd team in Taylorville High School history to reach the semifinals of the state tournament. Now it's my pleasure to introduce those players who are in attendance tonight that made up that 1984 team. We'll have each one of them come up and give them an opportunity to say a few words if they like, and I would like all of them to stay up here until we get to the coaches in case we have some people who'd like to take a group picture of the 84 baseball team. First, I'd like for Brad Tippett to come forward. Brad? Brad declines to speak. Well, we'll follow that Brad with another Brad, Brad Mollahan. What is it with these baseball players? Are you leaving it all for Laura and Allison to take up at the end of the program? Okay. Eric Wolf. I think we've started a trend here, Brad. Trevor Stallings. Kenny Altoff. Bob Halflegger. Well, the last time I saw you had a broken leg, didn't you?
Yeah.
Remember me hauling you back from Effingham at the football game? Okay.
Great memories in my Thank you. The meal was great.
And a gentleman that's going to play a doubleheader tonight, Joe Champley.
Coach Stevenson and Coach Bankel's got a half-hour speech, so that's why I'm just going to talk.
Mr. McDonald's, Brad Davis. Tell your dad I got a plug in tonight, okay?
No, I just want to thank everyone for coming. A lot of good memories. Coach Stevenson, Coach Banco. Some of us played, in college and even in the pros, minor leagues and that. And I think the program here at Taylorville really prepared us well, and it was a good foundation. So thank you.
Don Pembroke. That's the 1984 baseball team, those that are present with us this evening. And now a man that's never at a loss for words, assistant coach Bob Stevenson.
Thank you. I'd like to say thanks to the members of the Hall of Fame committee for putting on another nice banquet tonight. Let's give them a hand. I'd also like to acknowledge some people that are here this evening, just a second, for taking time out of their busy schedule for being here. It really means a lot to all of us. To my brother Mark, my nephew Drew, to some of my friends scattered throughout the auditorium tonight, and some of my former colleagues for taking time out of their busy schedule. Thanks for being here tonight. It really means a lot to us. I'll be quick. Just as tonight's activities just didn't happen, the 1984 baseball team just didn't happen either. It took a lot of hard work and dedication and some good leadership. And at this time, I'd like to thank the people that I feel was responsible for that great season. First of all, to my boss and my mentor, Jim Banco. I served as Coach Banco's assistant for 10 years. And for 10 years, I learned and watched and observed. And when Coach Banco stepped down and I became varsity baseball coach, I remember I told Jim on several occasions it was like you didn't even leave, you're still here. Because everything you taught me, Coach Cambruzzi and I were still doing. And so I want you to know, Jim, you laid a pretty good foundation, and I really appreciate everything you did for Taylorville baseball and what you did for me too. Thank you. And finally, to these guys here, the 1984 baseball team. They put in a lot of hard work and a lot of effort, and I hope you guys realize tonight a little age, a little time, and tonight's activities can give you a chance to reflect back on what you guys achieved that year, because it was really special. When you stop and think the thousands of young men and women who start out their high school careers just dreaming one day to play in a state tournament, and only a handful of them ever get to achieve that. Well, I think you guys now know what you guys accomplished. To your family and friends that are here tonight, I want you to know that these were great kids to be around. I coached all of them as sophomores and freshmen. They never caused me any problem, and it was a genuine pleasure to be around you guys. And so I just like to say to the players that are present tonight, to those that couldn't or can't be here this evening, you enjoy the honor that you're getting tonight, guys. You earned it, and you deserve it. Okay? Thank you.
See, I told Brad Tippett when we started tonight that the players had 15 minutes each. So none of them used that, so that leaves us about 2 hours worth of time for our next individual. Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach of the 1984 Taylorville Tornadoes, Mr. Jim Banco.
Thank you, Terry. This is quite an evening. Thank everyone for coming tonight to help honor all the individuals and the teams that are here. I'd like to thank the committee for recognizing our baseball team. It's quite an honor, and thank you very much. I'd also like to congratulate the other honorees here tonight, Allison, Laura, Joe, Coach Wilson. You all definitely deserve to be honored tonight. The 84 baseball season was enigmatic in the respect that it's still somewhat hard to explain. There are times in all our lives when we know we're experiencing something special, but we can't understand it or explain why. And I think that sums up the 84 baseball season. We didn't play many games. Terry went over all that. The weather was a factor and so on and so forth. When we got into the regional and Donnie threw the gem against Decatur Eisenhower, I kind of had a feeling then that maybe something special was happening. And it just continued on with our regional championship and then getting into the sectional. The Danville game was quite a game. The Danville coach came up to me afterwards, and Donnie had held him to one hit, and he told me Donnie was the best pitcher they'd faced all season long. We were now in unfamiliar territory. We're going to state. I don't know who's happier, the players or the coaches. It was quite a feeling. It was just indescribable unless you've actually experienced it yourself. We had a good game against Chicago Shores, and it was a nail-biter all the way to the very end. And then our dreams finally were brought to an end by Morton. They thumped us pretty good, 20-8. But we walked off the field with our heads held high. We'd accomplished more than most teams in the state. One of the umpires at that game was named Don Cobb. I had played against him in 1961 in the sectional championship game. His team beat our team, and they advanced to the championship game of the state tournament that year to lose 20-0. And after our loss to Morton, he said to me, "Don't feel bad. At least your guy scored 8 runs." So that put things in perspective real quickly. I've got a few other thank yous here that I want to get out of the way. Thanks to the parents, the families, the fans who followed us that year. Some of those fans over the years aren't with us anymore, but they'll never be forgotten. I have to put a special thanks in here to my wife, Marcia. She traveled many miles over the years and was definitely my #1 fan. Thank you, honey. I love you. An emotional thank you goes out to the Smith family. Larry and Mary Lee, thank you for Jeff. He was a delight. Not only was he a great player, but he was a really good person. We all miss him, and we know that tonight he's looking down on us with that big smile he always had on his face. Now for a few remembers. I remember Brad Davis pitching against Mount Zion and shutting them out, beating them 7-0. They were the conference champions that year. And I also remember all the runs that Brad gave up against Morton, but only 6 of them were earned runs. We didn't play very good defense against Morton that day. Joe Champley, I remember you going 2 for 2 against Decatur MacArthur. Tony Bertowski got the bases loaded hit against Schurz that cleared the bases. Kenny Altoff, he scored the only run of the game against Decatur Eisenhower. Pat Lane, who couldn't be with us tonight, Joe Champley was telling me that Pat is very, very sick right now. He's got some respiratory problems, so he couldn't be with us tonight. Pat had 2 home runs against Lincoln in the regional championship game. Jeff Smith, a big hit and an RBI against Danville in the sectional championship game. Donnie Pembroke, 3-hit shutout, 16 strikeouts versus Decatur Eisenhower. Robert Hafler, 2 hits and 2 RBIs against Chicago Shores. And one of the big plays in the 7th inning when we were behind,
he hit a ball in the hole to shortstop and looked like it was going to be the end of the game. He hustled his butt off down that line. You wouldn't know it by looking at him today, maybe. he beat the throw to first base and continued the inning that led to the victory. So, Robert, that's one I'll never forget, and I don't think you will either. Dennis Fesser, he was nicknamed E6. So those of you who are familiar with baseball know that's air on the shortstop. And it was a good-natured nickname that the guys gave to him. I'd never call him that. But Dennis went through the sectionals and handled 10 chances with only one error. And you got to remember, Dennis was only a sophomore, and he was originally a second baseman, so he was playing out of position. He did a good job for us. I remember Rich Calvert scoring from second base on a sacrifice fly. You don't see that too much. I've never seen it in my life, before or since. That's just nothing but hustle from Rich. Trevor Stolitz, I remember his skillful handling of the pitching staff all year long. Eric Wolf scoring runs as a pinch runner against Lincoln and Danville. Mike Scroggins, he doubled off the left field wall against Morton. He stood on second base, and I don't know what was wider, his eyes or his smile. He was cloud nine. I don't blame him a bit. Brad Tibbett scoring 2 runs against Morton. And Bob Spinner, Todd Hawkins, Brad Mollahan, Dave Kovac, though they didn't see a lot of action, they were definitely an important part of the team. At this time, I'd like to thank my assistant coach, Bob Stevenson. He took kids as freshmen and developed them into sound, fundamental players. Assistants rarely get the credit they deserve, so Bob, thank you for the job you did. I know you sacrificed a lot of wins so that every boy in your squad got a chance to play. To our stat girls, Regina and Lori Griffith and Lori Lytle, I thank them also. They endured a lot of long bus rides on Saturday mornings when they could have been sleeping in like a lot of their friends were doing. Until now, we've had very little to show that we finished in the top 4 in state. We got no trophy, plaque, medal, or anything to show for our accomplishments. Apparently, the IHSA was in an austerity mode at that time. We definitely feel better after tonight. As far as I know, we are only the 4th team in Taylorville High School history to reach the Final 4 or higher. Of course, the 1944 boys basketball team, they were state champs. The 1962 boys baseball team made it to the Final 4. The 1997 girls basketball team, well represented here tonight, they were the state runners-up. So that puts us in some pretty exclusive company. You guys should be real proud of yourselves for what you did, believe me. Finally, I thank just about everybody I can think of. If I skipped anyone, I apologize. You know, that was 24 years ago. That's almost a quarter of a century. And every once in a while, the memory gets a little bit fuzzy. Lastly, I want to thank the 18 people most responsible for our green run to the Final 4. Thank you, Brad Tibbett. Thank you, Brad Mullen. Thank you, Tony Bertowski. Thank you, Brad Davis. Thank you, Dennis Fesser. Thank you, Eric Wolf. Thank you, Bobby Spinner. Thank you, Robert Speedy Havliger. Thank you, Todd Hawkins. Thank you, Rich Calvert. By the way, Rich Calvert's the women's softball coach at Drake University, and he had a doubleheader today, so he couldn't make it. Thank you, Trevor Stolitz. Thank you, Ken Altoff. Thank you, Dave Kovac. Thank you, Joe Champley. Thank you, Mike Scroggins. Thank you, Pat Lane. Thank you, Donnie Pembroke. And thank you, Jeff Smith. Thank you. Well, we've got all of them up here. If there are family members, anyone would like to take pictures, we'll hold them up in just a minute if you'd like to get a group picture, okay? May take a while.
Here,
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's go ahead, right here.
Once again, let's have a big hand for the 1984 Taylorville Tornado baseball team and coaches. Now we'll move on to our individuals who are going to be inducted here this evening. First up, Joe Champley graduated from Taylorville High School in 1985 after having an outstanding career in both basketball and baseball, as we just heard. Not only did he earn 3 varsity letters in basketball, but he was also a 3-year starter. During those 3 years, the Tornadoes were a combined 46-31 and won an Apollo Conference championship and a regional championship. For his career, Joe scored 891 points, placing him 16th on the all-time Tornado scoring list. During his senior season, he led the Tornadoes with 380 points and a 15.8 point per game scoring average. As a junior, Joe was selected to the All-Apollo Conference second team, and he finished off his senior year being selected to the All-Conference first team. He was also chosen as the WTIM-WTJY Player of the Year that year, and was selected the team's most valuable player. Following graduation, Joe elected to attend Belleville Area College, where he was a 2-year starter on the basketball team. During his career at Belleville, Joe averaged 15 points a game. Following 2 years in Belleville, Joe then joined former Taylorville standout and coach of the Aurora University Spartans, James Lancaster, where Joe was a 2-year starter, scoring 630 points and pulling down 260 rebounds. Joe was selected to the Northern Illinois-Iowa All-Conference basketball team following the 89-90 season and was selected team captain the following year. During the spring of 1984, Joe Champley played first base for the Tornado baseball team. During that year, of course, the Tornadoes advanced to the Final Four in the IHSA State Baseball Tournament, only the second time in school history. The following year, he continued as Taylorville's first baseman. Joe currently teaches at Taylorville Junior High School, lives in Taylorville with his wife Deborah and their sons Tanner and Evan. And now, ladies and gentlemen, once again, as I said, the doubleheader tonight, Joe Champley.
He forgot to mention my daughter Leah. She's 1 year old. She'll never know. Well, there's a lot of familiar faces out there, a lot of people I haven't seen for a long time. And if I pass up anybody by not thanking you, I'm sorry, okay? I want to start off by saying thank you to the Hall of Fame Committee for selecting me for this honor. It really does mean a lot. Thanks to Kurt Kettlecamp for nominating me. I would also like to congratulate Allison, Laura, Coach Wilson, and my fellow 1984 baseball team being inducted this evening. I'd first like to acknowledge my wife, Deb, for her support over the years as she shared with me the experiences of my career from high school to college. To my boys, Tanner and Evan, I hope you know that you will listen to me more when I give you advice and realize I do know a little bit about sports. To my mom and dad, Joe and Diane here in front of me, I appreciate all the camps, practices, time commitments you sacrificed in order for me to obtain a lifelong goal. Thank you for never missing a game, no matter how far you had to travel. To my brother Mike and his family, thanks for coming tonight, and for Mike taking the punishment in all our backyard basketball brawls. Sorry, Mike, you got Dad's height. I had to do that. Thank you to the many coaches along the way, especially Lee Emery, Brian James, Mark Stevenson, Bob Stevenson, Jim Banco, and James Lancaster. And James came from Aurora today to see me get this. And if it wasn't for James and Aurora University, I may not have a job that I have right now at Taylorville Junior High. For as long as I can remember, sports has driven me. Competition and the will to win is still addictive to me. It was important to me, even as a little league baseball pitcher, to strike out every batter, especially if the kids were older than me. So in my spare time, I would work on my skills. But it was my love for basketball that inspired me to be the best I could be. When I was in grade school, if it was not raining, sleeting, snowing, then I was outside working on my game. I remember I would dribble basketball 8 blocks to the grade school, shoot baskets, and dribble all the way back home. I knew every crack in that sidewalk. When my boys ask me, Daddy, how can I get better? I tell them it's simple. You have to practice, practice, and practice some more. Get off the computer, shut off the video games, step away from television, and let's go work on your game. As a young boy, one of my fondest memories was listening to the radio with my grandfather, Pop. Terry Wright and Bill Hopper broadcast the Taylorville Tornado Boys varsity basketball games every Friday night. Once I finally got a chance to go and watch the boys varsity game, I was in awe of the West Gym. It was like a giant arena to a little kid. From that day on, I always dreamed of playing on the floor and wearing the Taylorville Tornadoes basketball jersey. One of the best things that happened to me was when my parents decided to move from Morrisonville to Taylorville my sophomore year in high school. I met my wife, I moved to Taylorville, and I would not have the 3 beautiful I have now. Playing Taylorville Tornado ball opened up great opportunities for me. I met and played with very talented athletes, many of whom are still my good friends. I played for extremely knowledgeable coaches who taught me important life lessons. It is amazing how coaches can have a profound effect in the development of young men. Many of the life lessons have stayed with me forever. And one of the examples, and I won't go on a bunch, I got stories to go all night long. But we were in Pana, I believe. It was a sophomore game, one of the first or second games of the year. And Brian James was the head coach, Mark Stevenson was assistant. And we were about 6 seconds going to the ball game, the other team makes a layup, we call timeout. We're down 4 points. We get over there and we sit down. Brian James gets in our face and says, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And I'm looking at him going, we're down 4, there's 6 seconds to go. But that's the kind of guy he was, and it instilled it into you that never give up. You know, so, and one of the other examples was, I'll never forget this. I was still sophomore game. I think it was the next game, was at home. And sophomore games was probably half full gym, maybe at that. And we were up quite a few points. There was like 10 seconds going to half. And I don't remember who we were playing. But I was 6'3", about 150 pounds, probably soaking wet. And I got the ball at half court, and all I could hear was everybody saying, dunk it, dunk it. And I could probably just barely get my hand over the rim. There's no way I was going to dunk it. I jump up there, bang it off the backboard. Buzzer goes off, and I look over, and there's Lee Emery at the tunnel. And I'm just kind of moseying my way over there, going, oh, God, here we go. And as I get over there, he grabs a hold of me, he lets everybody go by. And he looks at me, he goes, Joe, you need to be a team pleaser, not a crowd pleaser. And smacked me as hard as he could on the butt, and after the game, I still had marks. I'd also like to thank Don Williams. There was many days that there was the window in the coach's office that was never locked. And if we couldn't find Johnny or we couldn't find Bobby to get keys, we'd sneak through that window, turn the lights on, here come Peter. He'd open the door and he'd see us in there, he'd say, turn the lights off when you're done. My wish for the table sports program is to carry on the tradition of excellence. We should be stiff competition for the other teams in the Central State 8 Conference. Those involved with the athletes must stress the importance of sacrifice and commitment in order to compete at a higher level. Today's generation of kids are surrounded by so much technology and instant gratification. To be a good athlete, it takes individual sacrifice and old-fashioned hard work. And that does not happen overnight. If I can motivate one student either through my speeches at the junior high gym, coaching YMCA basketball, Red Belen Little League, then I feel successful and satisfied that I have made a difference. I hope to pass on the love of the game and inspire greatness whenever I can. Thank you very much.
Next, Coach Carol Wilson. Before becoming the head coach in Taylorville, Carol Johnson, of course, began her basketball coaching career in 1986 at Brown County High School in Mount Sterling, Illinois. While at Mount Sterling, Carol guided the Lady Hornets to 147 victories against just 63 losses, and also garnered 2 conference championships, 2 regional titles, and a sectional championship. In 1994, Carol became the varsity girls basketball coach at Taylorville High School. During her inaugural season, she guided the Lady Tornadoes to a 25-5 record and the first of 5 consecutive Central State 8 conference championships. In 1995, the Lady Tornadoes continued to improve and compiled a remarkable record of 26-3, again winning the conference undefeated. A regional championship followed the successful season, and a semifinal loss in the sectional tournament left the young team hungry for the next season. To begin that historic 1996 season, Carol was married and became Coach Carol Wilson. After the very successful 95-96 season and returning Conference Player of the Year Allison Curtin, 3-year starter and All-Conference player Laura Weber, honorable mention All-Conference player Alexis Givens, and special mention All-Conference player Aaron Maxwell, Coach Wilson had the nucleus of what proved to be one of the best teams in the state of Illinois and the standard for all future Taylorville girls basketball teams by which to be measured. The Lady Tornadoes' pressing defense and fast break offense decimated almost every team they played as they finished the regular season undefeated and outscored their opponents by an average of over 28 points per game. Knowing that better competition would prepare the team for the state tournament, Carol took the team north during the holidays and beat Hinsdale South, Orr, Oak Park, Hersey, and Elk Grove. During the Taylorville Tornadoes shootout, annual powerhouse Chicago Marshall was invited to play in our gym and became the Lady Tornadoes' 24th victim of the year with a 71-50 tornado victory. Coach Wilson's preparation for the state playoffs paid great dividends as her Lady Tornadoes continued their winning ways in the postseason, advancing to the state championship game at Redbird Arena with a perfect 34-0 mark. However, the season ended with a loss to Chicago's Loyola Academy. Carol had coached the Lady Tornadoes to a second-place finish in the state, compiled a record of 34 wins against just the 1 loss, and had 4 starters returning for the 97-98 season. For Carol and the Lady Tornadoes, 97-98 was a remarkable season, but one that ended too soon in a double overtime loss to East St. Louis Lincoln in the sectional finals. The team ended that year with a 30-2 mark, had been ranked in the top 25 nationally in USA Today, won a game at the Coca-Cola Camo X shootout in St. Louis, completed a 55-game winning streak in the Central State 8 Conference while losing only once during the season to Chicago Marshall in the Chicago Public League Christmas Tournament. During her 4 years at Taylorville High School, Carol coached the Lady Tornadoes to 114 wins and just an amazing 11 losses. Her teams won 4 conference championships, 4 Tornado Tournament championships, 2 Carrollton Tournament championships, 3 regionals, 2 sectional championships, a super sectional, and of course, finished second in the IHSA state tournament. She helped develop 2 Division I college players and 1 Ms. Illinois basketball player in Allison Curtin. Following the 98 season, Carol accepted a head coaching position at Lincoln College in Lincoln, Illinois, where she is still coaching today. She and her husband, Lauren, along with their daughter, Allie, live still in Lincoln. Ladies and gentlemen, Carol Wilson.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for my selection. I'd also like to congratulate all the other inductees and their families. It is said that you're judged by the company you keep. If this is true, I'm in good standing tonight to be in the induction class with Lord Allison, whom I have much respect and admiration for. Because of a lot of help from others, I stand before you tonight to accept this honor. First of all, the administration for hiring me back in 1994. Then I have to give a lot of credit to my assistant coaches, Sarah, Gary, and Tanya. I stole players from them so we could be better at the varsity level. I know Sarah that first year, and Tanya when I was taking Allison and Lauren and Alexis and pulling everybody up. I remember that first game when they played that first fresh soft game, and we knew then they weren't going to be down at that level too long. They gave up and sacrificed a lot of things in the summer to make this team better, going to summer tournaments, open gyms, I still remember, I'm sure Tanya remembers that first time we met. We drove to Edwardsville and threw things off each other all the way down there to watch these girls play that first summer of '94. And we had a lot of philosophies in common. Then we got the opportunity to share the same office, and that even made it better because then we'd see each other and we could talk everything going on to basketball-wise during the day. But without their help, this team and I, neither one would be here doing the things we did those 4 years. Very remarkable. The Booster Club, while I was at Taylorville High School, was just exceptional. I mean, I couldn't say enough about them. They were there when we needed them. Didn't matter what we needed, they were there. When it got crunch time, my last 2 years, when we were winning games, they were right there getting the next t-shirt we'd get. We'd win regionals, that regional t-shirt would be there the next day for somebody to buy. Then we'd get that next hurdle, there they were again, spending long hours, and I really respect and appreciate everything they did for us those 4 years. Denny Doherty, he did stats for us on the road, helped tremendously when we had Taylorville tournament here to try to keep all the records straight. He was like my right-hand man besides my assistant coaches, especially those last 2 years. Slick, I can't appreciate more than what Slick did for me. His expertise with that camera and filming all the games really made it easy to showcase my teams and also showcase my players to get them to the next level to play. So I always knew when I got a game tape from him, it was going to be a quality one that I had no fear sending out to somebody. The parents of all these girls, I mean, what can I say? They trusted me to try to instill in them positive attitudes, which they'd already done. They'd already proven to me that they knew how to work hard and sacrifice, especially these two coming from farm families. I'd take any day to put this Weber and Curtin family on the court, even today, even though they're all out of shape. But I'd still tell you my excuses with those 5 Weber and Curtin girls that I coached, put them right there today to play. The community, the faculty, the staff. Once we got them there, it was hard to get them not to come back, especially this guy sitting right here in front of me. Once we talked him into coming to games, he was telling everybody and spreading the word to get them out there. We became the hottest ticket around. I always felt guilty having the best seat in the house for games. And I didn't have to stand in line for hours to get a seat. And I didn't have to fight once those doors opened up to try to find the seat I wanted to sit in when it was general admission only. The 6th man was a great person to have both home and away. And you can see when we went on the road, especially those last 2 years, I mean, that was the one thing everybody commented. It wasn't just the girls' sportsmanship, it was always our fan support and what they were able to do. Didn't matter if we won or lost, they were always there with our backing. I can still remember when we came home from the state tournament and coming into Stonington, seeing all those car lights. You guys still remember that? All the way back to Taylorville. Next time we lost, that last game in St. Louis, same way. I have my family. Wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my parents and being so supportive. They lived for basketball season. Even after they retired, they could have gone with their friends to Florida, but there's no way they're going to miss coming to basketball games. My husband, Lauren, boy, he came around at the right time to watch girls basketball. He worked midnights and he had to sacrifice sleep to watch these girls play, but he wasn't going to miss a game. Now to take him out on the road when I try to go recruiting, it's like pulling teeth to even get him to go because I can't find a game that matches up to the quality he got to watch these girls play. My daughter, Allie, she's heard so much about these girls and about the Taylorville Lady Tornadoes. I hope that one day she gets the wish she wants. The one thing she always says is, Mom, when is your team now going to win so I can cut down the nets like those girls got to? And lastly, what a wonderful group of players I got blessed with my 4 years here. Great ability, but even great character. They were winners, competitors, great team players, but most importantly, they were great teammates. Players earn this honor for their skill. I got here tonight on their backs for what they did for me. Good teams come along once every few years. Great teams come along once in a lifetime. And these 4 years, I had the ride of my life, thanks to all the players I was able to be around and have so much fun with. They were always working hard to make themselves and each other better. They always played hard. It didn't matter if it was practice or a game. That's the one comment I always heard when we go out and play a game. Like, wow, these girls are really playing hard. Well, why didn't you come see them last night when they were practicing? They were playing just as hard then. It's not just a one-time thing when they step on the floor to play a game. Biggest thing is they didn't want to lose. Lose was not in their vocabulary. To think in these 4 years we're 114 and 11 is pretty amazing. Considering that first year, we started out 2-3. Remember that? We lost that third game. We lost to Springfield High. I remember coming in the locker room. We were down 19. I looked at Tanya and Sarah and I go, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Jamie Meitzheimer, Jamie Dagg, and all those seniors were scared to death when we walked in this gym and shoot these freshmen. They didn't even know what they were getting into playing Springfield High in that first conference game. But I think it was a wake-up call, because after that, they bought into the system. When those teams walked in the gym or we walked into their gym, they knew they were going to get their pants beat off with the press, and they better learn how to break that press real quick or it was going to be over with before the first quarter even came to an end. They, buying into that system and pressing those teams really made a difference. A lot of the teams that we played had to then decide how they were going to break the press, and they spent so much time practicing and preparing to break our press, they forgot that. They still had to play us in a half-court game once they did score or we stole the ball. These seniors that first year added so much to the underclassmen. As they took them under their wings, I would hate to guess how many times Jamie Meitzheimer and Jamie Dagg had to push Allison or point Allison in the right direction that first year to make sure she was going the right direction. Actually, the dream season began February of '96, after Amanda's senior year. Sectional loss to Jerseyville, 56-54. We were at 0 for 10 from the free throw line. We dedicated ourselves to that summer. We're going to work hard, we're going to shoot free throws. Then we'd get up at 7 in the morning, 3 days a week, go to open gyms, play in as many tournaments as we could to make ourselves as best as we could so that did not happen again. We toughened up our schedule. We went north for Christmas. Gave up family time at Christmas time to go up there. Then came back and hosted T-Town and Marshall back-to-back. At that time, with those 2 wins, they put Taylorville on the map and they put fans in the stands. They put these girls signing autographs for 30 minutes plus after games, home and away. I still believe that game we played at Galesburg to this day is the best game I've ever got to witness in the state tournament. It was 2 teams, 33-0, going head-to-head for 32 minutes. And I don't think I've ever been a part or ever watched a game that was that tremendous of a game. I mean, you go back and you look at most of these state tournament games now, they're lucky if they break 40 points. But what most people forget about this year is that the total program started out 50-0. All they think about is what the varsity team was able to do that year. And we started out 50-0, and as a total program, the freshmen, the fresh soph, and the varsity team that year was 69-5, which is that's totally unheard of. 97-98 brought an even bigger bullseye on our backs. Laura and Allison obtained their goal of getting Division I basketball scholarships. Team was state ranked and also in the national USA Today national poll. A game in the KMOX shootout against the Missouri State champs. A public league Christmas tournament where we got to play supposedly the best team out of California. And then we met up with Chicago Marshall and they gave us a dose of our own medicine. Then we got to go to the Prep Classic and play St. Ignatius. What a schedule of prayers for the postseason. We saw everything. Slow down games that we had to win 21-14 and hold on. Lopsided wins that we got attacked for running up the score, which was always fun to have to deal with. It's been 10 years. I still can't bring myself to watch that East St. Louis game. But it's still very vivid in my mind like it just happened yesterday. I can still see Allison getting called for those travel calls. I can see Suzanne for that free throw line violation. I can see Andy Payne getting a putback and putting it in to put us up by 6, only to find out seconds later that it's going to be a jump ball. And probably the one thing that stands in my mind the most is I call a timeout to set up a play, and when we go back out on the floor, it's East St. Louis ball. I've seen a lot of bad officiating throughout my whole career, but that has to be the tops. They always say that you have to have some luck and you have to have some breaks, and March 2nd, we didn't get any of those. It was a devastating loss for all of us, but it was also more devastating for the community too, because I saw a community come around and really put their hearts into it. People
career assist, which is 5th in the IHSA's history. She was selected as the co-MVP with teammate Allison Curtin in 97 and 98. She was a first-team All-Central State 8 Conference selection in 97-98, and she was selected third-team All-State Tournament in 1997 and designated an honorable mention member of the 98 Class AA All-State team. When the Lady Tornadoes played in the Chicago Public League Annual Christmas in 97, Laura was selected to the All-Tournament First Team. She was selected to the All-Area First Team in both 97 and 98 by the Decatur Herald and Review, and the Champaign Gazette honored her with an honorable mention on their All-State team in 98. During her career as a Lady Tornado, 120 basketball games, and she walked off that court on the winning side 114. Set the standard for qualities that continue to represent Taylorville girls basketball today. Laura received a scholarship to play basketball at Division I Bradley University. From 1998 through 2002 season at Bradley, she played in 99 games, scoring 527 points. She is one of only 6 players in school history with 500 points, 500 rebounds, and 250 assists. She is only one of 2 players to twice lead the team in rebounding, assists, and steals in the same season. Laura ranks 10th in school history with 180 career steals, and her 75 steals as a senior is 9th best. As a senior, she averaged 7.5 points, just over rebounds, better than 4 assists, and almost 3 assists a game. She also led the Lady Braves in free throw shooting percentage. She also holds the Bradley record with an average of 9.5 rebounds per game in the Missouri Valley Conference. Laura earned honorable mention All Missouri Valley Conference honors and was named a first-team All-Defensive Team member following her senior year. Named a first-team Missouri Valley Conference Scholar Athlete. Illustrating how well-rounded an athlete she was, Laura received the Carl Gross Service Award in 2002, recognized as a student athlete who is committed to volunteerism on campus and in the local community. She topped that by being awarded the Bradley Watanga Award, which is given each year to the Bradley Senior Student Athlete who best combines athletic ability and academic achievement with community service. It's considered the highest honor given to a student athlete at Bradley. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Laura Weber.
Well, thank you. Good to see familiar faces out here tonight. I'd definitely like to thank the Hall of Fame committee members. Great honor to be a part of this. Now anybody who knows me knows at least 2 things. I don't like public speaking. And I don't like to talk about myself, so we'll kind of see how this goes. But first of all, I definitely wouldn't be here if it weren't for my family. My dad got me started in basketball. I remember getting off the bus in kindergarten and he made like a plywood backboard on our machine shed. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So we got a basketball and was out there playing. We had a gravel court, and I always remember wanting like a cement or asphalt court, but my dad's motto was, if you can dribble on rocks, you can dribble on a basketball court. So he was right. In 4th grade, my mom made me choose an after-school activity. I don't know if I was bugging her at home, but her suggestion was, Girl Scouts or something like that, because my oldest sister was a Girl Scout, and I was not going to choose that. So I chose basketball, and definitely a good choice in the long run, so thanks. Now, Jane's here tonight, and I told her she was supposed to actually be at a wedding tonight, but I kind of egged her into coming here because I told her I was going to embarrass her with a story, so I guess now I have to actually do that. So we had a lot of family games throughout the years, and I remember whenever Amanda and I were younger, Jane was probably like 5 or 6 at this time when we were shooting on our old plywood hoop. And of course, it's only 10 foot, you can't adjust these things. So Jenny's out there trying her hardest. Can't get it, they're nearly impossible, they're just too little. But Amanda and I, trying to be good big sisters, we just roughed her up and steal the ball, double team her, block her shot, and Jenny would go and cry. Jenny would go and crying, and we got sick of seeing her crying, so we said, if you start crying, you aren't going to play. So Jenny eventually got the quickest shot, the most accurate shot in the family, so you're welcome for that. And the scars to prove it. Katie and Chris started playing even younger than I was. I think they started when they were 2. Katie would always humor me by throwing me alley-oops on her 8-foot rim. I always remember that. And Chris thinks she's going to be the best out of the family, but we'll have to see about that. Definitely I learned my competitiveness from my family. I remember last year we went on a vacation to the Ozarks, and at the resort there was this tennis court that had like gates around it, and at one end there was a basketball hoop, and we had a couple friends with us to make like a 5-on-5 team. And so, you know, as Coach Wilson said, we're all out of shape, but we still think we can play. So we got out there, and I mean, it was rough. His elbows throwing. I remember at some point blocking my dad and throwing him into the gate, and I think I taunted him after that. I don't remember, but I will say, the person that was the high scorer and never got blocked, Jim. So. Throughout high school basketball, I had a great opportunity to work with a lot of great people. I had some awesome memories. As Coach kind of alluded to, I won't go back into detail. Definitely things that I hold very dear to me. The biggest thing I remember, though, is definitely seeing the community following, you know, increase over the years. It was amazing. At the games, you know, you'd have everybody, the stands packed. I remember, especially the Teton and Marshall games, standing room only down on the court. There was a point in the game where the noise just kept getting louder and louder, and then all of a sudden it just started vibrating off the walls on the court. It was amazing. It's just crazy the amount of support and how the community embraced our teams, and I thank you all for that. As Terry was saying, I went on to play at Bradley, which definitely a Division I scholarship is a great honor, but to me, looking back, these 4 years are what I remember basketball. This is what it's supposed to be. This is the honor. This is the thing that people don't get to experience. You know, yeah, a few people get to play Division I, they don't get to experience this, and that was because of the community and the quality teammates and the coaches. I do have one story about Coach Wilson. She wasn't really all about the warm fuzzies, so I remember we were playing Mount Zion, and I was going after a loose ball, and I ended up like hitting heads with somebody, and I kind of got knocked out a little bit for a second. It's kind of blurry. I remember opening my eyes, and there was this huge goose egg, and like my eye was starting to swell shut, and I was like not with it, and you know, I go over to the bench, and she didn't ask how I was. She's like, "Are you ready to get in? Are you gonna play? Come on!" I knew right then, don't mess around with her. So. But tonight I am truly honored to be inducted into the Taylorville Hall of Fame. Definitely, again, I want to thank my family, my teammates, my great teammate coming up next. The Taylorville community, you guys were amazing, and I definitely appreciate it. All the coaches, and Coach Wilson, Coach Goodrow, thank you for letting me be a part of something so special. I also want to congratulate the fellow inductees and say I applaud your efforts and accomplishments. Thank you.
Have we still got somebody left? She said somebody following her. Oh, we still have one plaque up here? Okay. And I guess we better get to it. Once in a lifetime, a small town might have the opportunity to see a truly remarkable athlete. For fans of Taylorville High School athletics, that person is Allison Curtin. Allison exploded on the Taylorville sports scene in junior high school as she helped lead the 8th grade Lady Eagles to the IESA State Championship in 1993 and also set the IESA 8th grade state record in the 400-meter dash with a time of 59.6. As a freshman at high school, Allison made an immediate impact on the Lady Tornadoes basketball team as she led the team in scoring with 414 points, a 14.3 point per game average. She was selected to the Central State 8 All-Conference team and both the Taylorville and Carrollton All-Tournament teams. During the 95-96 season, Allison upped her scoring average to just over 21 points a game with a total of 612 points and giving her over 1,000 career points. She established a school's game scoring record with 42 points against Alton. She was elected Player of the Year by the Springfield Journal-Register, the Decatur Herald-Review, and of course by WM Radio. She repeated the Central State All-Conference and was also selected to the All-Conference academic team. The Illinois Basketball Association named her to their All-State second team, and the Champaign News-Gazette placed her as a special mention All-State player. She repeated as an all-tournament selection in both the Taylorville and Carrollton tournaments and was named the team's MVP. The 96-97 season allowed basketball fans throughout the state of Illinois to get to know the Lady Tornadoes and their impact Allison could make on a basketball team. She scored 802 points, averaged almost 23 points a game, and helped the Lady 34 consecutive wins and a second place finish in the Illinois State Tournament. Allison was named to the IHSA State All-Tourney First Team and was selected to all-state teams by the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association, the Champaign News Gazette, the Chicago Sun-Times, and the Chicago Tribune. She was selected to the Taylorville and Arlington Heights All-Tourney teams and was also singled out Best Player and Best Attitude at the Heights Tournament. Again, the Decatur Herald, Springfield Journal, and WTIM selected her as their Player of the Year. Allison was also a runner-up to Ms. Basketball in Illinois. Allison's performance during her senior year helped the Lady Tornadoes to a 30-2 record, losing in the Sweet 16. Individually, she continued to improve and gain more recognition throughout the year. Her 33 points set an individual scoring record in the Coca-Cola KMOX shootout in St. Louis, and her 16 rebounds tied the playoff record. She also was a recipient of the John Rome Hustle Award. Curtin set a single-game scoring record with 46 points against Mount Zion. She finished her career as the all-time leading scorer in Taylorville basketball history with 2,755 points. She also established school records with 927 points in a season, 175 free throws made in a season, and 408 free throws in a career. Her 119 consecutive games scoring 10 or more points is an IHSA record, and her 1,107 career steals places her third all-time in the state. She scored more than 40 points in the game 5 times and more than 30 points 18 times. As we expected, Allison was selected to all of the major state first teams and was a unanimous selection to the Class AA All-State First Team. She was selected to her 4th Central State 8 All-Conference team and was 3-time Player of the Year in both Springfield and Decatur papers. She was chosen to play in the IBCA All-Star Game and was the Nike WBCA Honorable Mention All-American. Her final high school basketball award was being named Illinois' Miss Basketball. Allison received a scholarship from the University of Illinois to play basketball for the Fighting Illini. She made an immediate impact in Champaign-Urbana, being named to the All-Big Ten freshman team. Selected as U of I's Newcomer of the Year, Allison averaged 23 points a game during the 3-game Big Ten tournament and set a freshman scoring record with 400 points and averaged almost 13 points a game. Named first team All-Big Ten in 2000, Allison ranked 3rd in Big Ten scoring with 17.5 points per game. She became the first player in Illinois history to total 1,000 points in her first 2 seasons. She led the Illini in scoring, steals, free throws, field goals, and 3-pointers. She was chosen the team's MVP at the end of the season. As a junior, Allison again was named first team All-Big Ten and won Illinois' Ralph Free Throw Trophy for the 3rd straight season. In the Big Ten tournament, Allison tied the Big Ten record, scoring 35 points against Iowa. She amassed the 2nd highest total points, 197, in the Big Ten tournament. She finished the regular season among the top 10 in the conference in scoring. She was 8th with just over 14 points per game. Steals, she was 2nd with over 3 steals per game. Assists, she was 7th with better than 4 a game. Free throw percentage, she was 9th with just about 77%. And 3-point field goals, she was 10th with 35%. And she ranked 1st in the Big Ten with over 3 steals per game against conference teams. Allison set out the 01-02 season after transferring to the University of Tulsa for her senior year. However, when she did take the court during the 02-03 season, Curtin rewrote the Tulsa record books in just the 1 season. In her only season as a Hurricane, Allison reestablished 7 of the school's single-season records: points per game, field goals, free throws made, assists, and steals, and claimed 5 single-game marks of total points per game, field goal attempts, steals, and assists. She also set the record for points in conference games with 399. Following her senior year, Allison was an All-Western Athletic Conference first-team selection and was an Associated Press Honorable Mention All-American. She was also one of 3 finalists for the annual Fremont Dairy Women's Collegiate Basketball Student Athlete of the Year. Curtin was a first-round selection and 12th pick overall by the Houston Comets of the WNBA. While at Taylorville High School, Allison also was the All Central State 8 selection in cross country 3 years. She established 5 individual records and 1 relay record during her time on the track team. Those records are in the 110 meter dash at 12.2, 200 meter dash 25.1, 400 meter dash 56.56, the 800 meter run at 221.3, and with Jenny Weber, Andrea Payne, and Stacy Wells, the 800 meter relay at 152.1. Following an injury, preparing for her first season in the WNBA, Allison chose to become a school teacher and currently has returned to live in Stonington and teach special education at Taylorville Junior High School, where she is also the girls' 6th grade basketball coach. Ladies and gentlemen, please a warm welcome, Allison Curtin.
Long night. I'll keep it short. First off, I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for nominating me for this. I was talking with somebody the other day about how it doesn't seem like that long ago that this all happened. It kind of seems like a dream that those 4 years even happened. I wouldn't be here without a doubt without my family. Anybody who knows me knows that I love my family to death. They were so supportive. I don't even understand how they did it. Following me around, Suzanne around, Meredith, Candace, TJ, everybody. I don't even understand where the time came from. My mom, she's the backbone. I know I wouldn't be here without her pushing me. She taught us to work hard. And as Coach said, we just learned that from growing up in the families that we grew up in. I know without a doubt I got my competitive never lose from her. To this day, we work out together, and I will tell you that she is a lot tougher than I am. There have been plenty of times on bike rides where I just tell her to leave me and I'll walk home because I just can't keep up. I just can't say enough positive things about my family. Most of them are here today. Some live too far away to be here. I'm kind of going to ramble, I think. I wasn't prepared, as well as Coach and Laura. Like Laura said, those 4 years, it didn't get any better than that. I went on to play in college, played a year and a half of pro. From high school on, it just went down. I think we were spoiled those 4 years, and I don't think anybody that wasn't one of us knew exactly what it was like to play on that team. We didn't deal with the pettiness. We didn't deal with the jealousy. We were just kids that we loved to play basketball. We loved to work hard. And I think that is why people like to follow us. I mean, we were happier when somebody else was there besides us. We were happy when the 13th player on the team got in and scored a basket. I mean, that's just how we were. We were happy when somebody else was doing a good job. There's things I will never, ever forget. Sure, we won a ton of games, but those aren't the memories that I really remember. I will never forget riding all those bus rides with Alexis and I karaokeing to Meatloaf, Paradise by the Dashboard Light. I don't know how the coaches even put up with us on those bus rides because it was a 3-ring circus. I'll never forget being able to start on a team with my sister. That was an awesome feeling, running out with her and me, Jenny and Laura. I don't think many people can say that they started with their little sister and were on a team that was so successful. And we were farm kids. I think we were raised tough, and I think that really showed through. I'll never forget Suzanne getting that technical at East St. Louis. I went all 4 years without getting a technical, and I was the hothead, and there Suzanne was the one that got the technical finally. It was just amazing. And now that I'm back in the community, I never thought that I would be back here. When I left, I really thought that I would come back here and there, but I never thought I would settle here. But I went all over the place and lived in many places, and there's no place like coming back here. I'm able to teach at the junior high I went to, work with people who were my administrators or my teachers, and now I consider those people really good friends. I have coaches that I still talk to now. I coach with Mr. Neves, who was my high school coach, and it's just nice to be able to come back because there is no place like coming back to home. So I will keep it very short. I appreciate the honor, and I thank all of you for showing up tonight, and thank you very much.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like a big hand for the 1984 baseball team. Carol Wilson, Laura Weber, and Allison Curtin. And I think I can speak for all the fans of Taylorville High School sports that you've given us a lot of thrills over the years, a lot of enjoyment, and we certainly enjoyed watching every second of the play from these individuals, these athletes and coaches. On behalf of David Hickson-Ball and our committee, we'd like to thank all of you for being here this evening, and we hope that you'll all join us again next year when we induct the 14th class into the Taylorville High School Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you and good evening.